Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Joe Manganiello. All right, so I think that, and specifically Dungeons & Dragons and the Dungeons & Dragons 2020 movie, okay? Actually, I'm sorry, I should say 2022 movie. The exact date of the Dungeons & Dragons movie is really up in the air. But I want to talk about Joe Manganiello, and I want to talk about the Dungeons & Dragons movie. I'm going to refer to it as the 2022 Dungeons & Dragons movie. I think that's the target year, but you know that's all in the mix, right? So let's talk about Joe Manganiello. All right, who is Joe Manganiello, and what does he mean to Dungeons & Dragons, and what does he mean to the Dungeons & Dragons movie? Well, here's the thing. The Dungeons & Dragons movie is in development limbo right now. It was previously with Warner Brothers. It had a script and it had a director. And it had an actor. Today, it is with Paramount. To my knowledge, it does not have a script, it does not have a director, and it does not have an actor, right? And so the 2022 Dungeons & Dragons movie has lost ground, okay? But there is one man, in my opinion, who is out there hustling for that movie and hustling to make sure that the Dungeons & Dragons film is made. And that is and who has a chance in heck of getting it done, right? And that is Joe Manganiello. So let's talk about Joe Manganiello. Joe Manganiello is Deathstroke from the DC universe. He was in the movie Rampage. He worked directly with The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has probably easily $10 billion worth of film credits. Like, you know, his movies, if you added them up, I think they would go over maybe 5 billion, right? But he has an immense amount of, like last year, Jumanji made $900 million, close to $1 billion. He's been in some of the Fast and Furious that have made billions of dollars. His movies routinely make hundreds of millions of dollars. He has connections in China. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Joe Manganiello worked directly with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Joe Manganiello is a Hollywood insider. He is not an A-list actor. He simply isn't. Here's the majority of his movie credits are, you know, Deathstroke in the DC movies. He was in Rampage last year in 2018. He was in the Magic Mike movies. I've never seen any of those. I don't think I'll ever see any of those. I don't think those movies were made for me, but he was in them. And then also, Joe Manganiello is married to Sofia Vergara. She is the Latino woman who is in the Modern Family show. She's Al Bundy's wife in that show. I know that's not his character name, but I'm just shortcutting it. Modern Family is absolutely massive. It is in syndication. It has 9 seasons. It's historically important for multiple reasons. Joe Manganiello is a real Hollywood insider, right? He does not have a ton of clout. He does not have a huge amount of influence. But when it comes to Dungeons & Dragons, he does. There is a Hollywood insider who is connected to real Hollywood movers and shakers. And, you know, it's possible, and I think Joe Manganiello right now is talking to everybody he can in Hollywood and external to Hollywood to get the Dungeons & Dragons movie made. And I think Joe Manganiello wants to be connected to that Dungeons & Dragons movie. I think he either wants to be a character in it, or he wants to produce, or maybe he even wants to, write for it. But I know he has. So Joe Manganiello has an absolute passion for Dungeons & Dragons. He has built literally like a $100,000 room in his Hollywood mansion that he shares with Sofia Vergara. He has this. You can see pictures of it on the internet. He's talked about it on Stephen Colbert, right? You could see this huge room that is dedicated to Dungeons & Dragons. Joe Manganiello just exchanged birthday gifts with, gave a birthday gift directly to Luke Gygax. You know what? I'm sorry. I think it was the other way around. I think Luke Gygax gave Joe Manganiello a pair of Gary Gygax's dice. That is crazy, right? So Joe Manganiello is deep into the Dungeons and Dragons community, like designer community, not the designer community, the historical community. Joe Manganiello on the regular is talking to Gary Gygax's son, right? When that movie gets made, you can bet Gary Gygax's son is going to be involved, right? And and I think so will Joe Manganiello. And right now, here's the kicker. Who is Joe Manganiello to the Dungeons and Dragons movie? I think right now, Joe Manganiello is the Ryan Reynolds of the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Ryan Reynolds, and having the same relation. So Joe Manganiello today has the same relationship to the Deadpool movies that Ryan Reynolds had to the Deadpool movies. So specifically, I think that Joe Manganiello is carefully doing everything he can do to make it happen so that the Dungeons and Dragons film is made, right? And this is a really big deal. And this is the part where Ryan Reynolds for years was trying to get somebody to fund the Deadpool movies and just couldn't get it done, as running around Hollywood acting like a fool, or looking like a fool, looking like he, because when these movies are in development limbo, man, it's sad and it's frustrating. Stan Lee did this for well over a decade. He tried to get people to make Marvel films. Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody thought it was important. And Ryan Reynolds had those years where he was saying Deadpool is it could be a hit, it could be huge. Ryan Reynolds was absolutely right. It went the two Deadpool films have made over $1 billion together, right? I think without a doubt, Deadpool is the largest, the most successful rated R comic book film in history. So Ryan Reynolds has made history with those films, and he cared about that movie. He invested time in that movie, and he really put his all into that movie went before anybody really believed in it, right? Anybody of significance in Hollywood. I think Joe Manganiello is doing that today. He is investing time, money, passion, energy into getting the Dungeons & Dragons movie made. Now, me saying this is based on the projection of his actions and his behaviors. This is me predicting what he's doing now, right? Predicting where his energies are going to land. And me, I will say, it's frankly speculating, looking at his behavior online, looking at his place in Hollywood. I think this is where the tea leaves, this is what the tea leaves indicate, right? So this is me reading the tea leaves, reading the behavior of Joe Manganiello, and saying this is what I think is happening. And without a doubt, I think Joe Manganiello is really is probably our best hope. I think he's our best hope, because Hollywood listens to Hollywood. They don't really listen to much anybody else. Matt Mercer's a great guy, but he's a voice actor, and I just don't think voice actors just don't have that kind of pull in Hollywood. And so I think Joe Manganiello is our best bet, and I think he's making the right connections, and I think he's being very careful, and he's doing what he can to make the Dungeons & Dragons movie happen. I'm extremely happy that he is doing this, and I'm extremely thankful that he is doing this, and I am rooting for him. And I think it's great. I think it's really good that he is doing that, and it's definitely needed. So I really think that's important. So with that said, I think that's the best possibility for him to do that situation. And I really think it's important that he continues to do this work. And I'm really excited that Joe Manganiello is working on this. I definitely, I'm really curious what you guys think. Do you think he is working on this? Do you think he is the Ryan Reynolds of the Dungeons & Dragons film? If you do, let me know. And I think that's everything I wanted to say on the Joe Manganiello topic. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on the subject. Let me know in the comments. Please consider liking and subscribing. And thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Take care.